Hello everyone, it's the Bronze Archer here, bringing you what I would like to see in this year's F1 game. As you know, Masters have made a F1 game every single year since 2009, and I actually played the original 2009 F1 game on a Wii, so I played every single F1 game which Masters obviously made, plus some which were made from Liverpool studios and other older studios as well. Now these are a few points that you want to see in this year's F1 game. My first point is for online. Most of them will be for career mode and offline, so as I'm more of an offline player. But the first point needs to be about the online, and it's about the stability of the servers. The servers, as you know, are not very stable and can cause people to lag out and have really poor connections, especially if you're playing with people from another country. And also this can be really quite detrimental for people who are in leagues. Like, if you don't watch Tiamat Marduk, he's currently in AOR, which is one of the top leagues in the F1 gaming franchise, and he always gets problems with people who race against from European countries, and he's from Australia. It can cause, and also Australians do not have a very good internet connection anyway, so it can cause a little bit of connection issues, if you don't already know that. And so what would be quite nice is, instead of being from peer-to-peer connection for the servers, not the servers, the servers. Sorry, I cannot speak English. They need to make their own private servers, where if you want to make a custom, the main lobbies themselves, every single public lobby will be a server ran from Codemasters, and the private ones can be rented servers, which is what DICE does, and for Battlefield, and I don't think they do it for Battlefront, but I know they do it for Battlefield anyway. But they have their own servers, which you can rent if you want to, which means you can pick certain aspects of the stuff like that. And also it'll be quite, and it just will mean that it will make the connections a little bit better, and also hopefully means you can have closer racing without having to worry about netcode issues, which is pretty much all it's known as in normal terms as lag, which is where you don't have very good connection with everyone else, which pretty much means you end up seeing a very stuttery image of them. My second point is now for single player, and this would be for the classics cars. Also you got the classic cars in F1 2017 plus some shortened layouts. What would be really quite good though is if they had classic track layouts, like what they did in F1 2013, but instead of them being classic layouts, they are tracks which were in F1 in years gone by, but are modern day versions of those circuits. And they have their own DRS zones, which means, for example, at Brandt Hatch, you can have DRS on start finish straight and down the back straight, down to Hawthorne. Or at Donington, you can have it along the back, two back stretches before two hairpins and the chicane, which also be quite nice. And also, maybe bring in Jerez, which means people can mess about and do their own pre-season testing thing for the game, or for the career mode and stuff like that, which would be really quite nice, instead of them doing Barcelona, which is what they go to in real life. But in my opinion, it'd be better if they did that. It just means it would just be a little bit funner, and also means that if you don't really want to race on a normal F1 calendar, you don't have to. You can go to, for example, which would be the classic tracks I'd like to see, would be Brandt Hatch, Jerez, which is what were the two base ones from F1 2013. They really need to come back. They were really good fun. Brandt Hatch is definitely one of my favourites. Also, they could bring in Magny-Cours from France, and also Indianapolis. That just will mean that you have, and maybe for Japan, you could bring in maybe Mount Fuji. That would be really good fun. 2007 layout. Oh, that's such a good track. I like the track, in my opinion. It's a good circuit. My third, and this is going to be now going into my third point, is going to be for career mode. What would be really quite nice, in my opinion, is if you could run your own F1 team, which then you could also run for online. I'm so sorry. Which you can also then could run for online if you're doing esports events. You can have like your own team, which would be really nice in my opinion. It could pretty much mean that with your own team, you could run your own set of sponsors, your own livery, your own like number font, and like how you have like the name or like the number put on the car, like whether you want it on the rear wing, like the front, like also you have to be on the front, but it has to also be somewhere else now because of the new rules. Maybe like on this, like maybe actually you could put like it like massive on the actual like engine cover itself and stuff like that. You can actually make yourself run wild with choices. And also it could mean that if you wanted to, you could run Honda, Renault, Ferrari or Mercedes, or if you wanted to, maybe you can make your own engine which you could upgrade over a period of time. So say it could be fast like the Mercedes, but as reliable as the Honda engine was. Then over time you could either try and even it out, which is going to be a little bit slower but a little bit more reliable, or just focus on power and just hopefully over a long period of time bump up reliability. And this could pretty much mean that you could like go, like the possibilities would be endless. Like you could have aero package wise, it'll give you like when you first start your career mode, when you're doing like your managerial career mode, like what they do in like the whatchamacallit in MotoGP. That's a really good example actually. Like you do like your like testing race, like you do like a test race, like pre-season testing in F1 is what you could do. And then you could be just one guy. You haven't hired your second driver yet, and so you're just focusing on just one guy. And so then you do the pre-season testing like for a little bit to see how like you choose your engine supplier, or whether you want it to be a actual current one, or if you want to make your own one. So even if you want to, you could run it's like a fictional supplier. It could be like Holden or something like that, or Chevrolet or Ford or Nissan or Mitsubishi or Lamborghini or anything like that. You could choose your aero package, means if you want it to be high downforce, low downforce, medium downforce, means it's pretty good. And whether you want the engine to be, if you're running a custom engine, whether you want it to be high speed, or like low, like it means it wears out quickly, middle ground, or low but good like engine management. And then also like you choose the and then literally you can choose the livery. You can customize it to your own ability. Like you can choose whatever you want. Choose your own sponsorship. So if you want to, you can run Monster Energy and something else like that along those lines. You could even, like you literally would have sponsors from all around the globe. So if you want to, you could in theory have a Team Penske car. Because you pretty much could have like Discount Tire, SKF, and Miller Lite be your sponsors and stuff like that, which would be really good fun. And or literally, like I said, you can go absolutely wild, which would be really good fun. And I just think it would really go well. I think F1, like the F1 games need to go to that point where you can make your own team, because obviously now that Liberty Media now run F1 instead of it being Bernie Ecclestone, the pretty much the dictator of the sport for about 40 something years at least. At least now hopefully means that it can be a little bit more lenient with the licensing, since that's the main reason why they haven't been able to do it yet. It's just because of licensing. The fourth point I really want to get onto is obviously with your team you'd have to have a second driver, wouldn't you? So it could be quite a good idea if you brought in junior categories, and also this would be kind of 2 points in one, driver transfers. If you had driver transfers, it could mean that like you'd have the way it would work, in my opinion, the way it should work is that it will show up at the beginning of each season who's on how many, like for example if they're on contracts, like it will start on their current contract like in real life. So like it would start like for example with Hamilton, he has a current contract all the way to the end, or he will probably sign another contract which means it'll go all the way to the end of 2021 probably for another 3 years. Or something like along those lines, which I think is what he's currently actually running at the moment. It's a contract till 2020, but if you want to, you can extend it to 21. Or like you can have like Vettel on a long-term contract, Verstappen on a long-term contract, and Ricciardo's only on the contract to the end of this season, and like it will show who's on certain contracts and how long they've got those contracts for. And so at the end of the season, it will show who has decided to like continue with their contract, like sign a new contract, renew their contract, who hasn't renewed their contract, and what rookies will be coming up to replace if those drivers have like left and they can't find seats and like a rookies decide to come up and take their spot, which rookies will be coming up and what teams they'll be going into. Which then could mean that, like, for example, if this is just an example, like Raikkonen gets kicked out of Ferrari, turns in Leclerc moves up, and then Antonio Giovinazzi moves up into the Alfa Romeo car, which then means that like Raikkonen obviously does not have a team. You could then sign Raikkonen on as a driver to then have as your second driver. Like at first you start with like a GP2 driver, like a real world driver, like so you could have like for example Jan Mardenborough, Pascal Wehrlein, Felipe Massa, Felipe Nasr, even drivers from other categories like Joseph Newgarden from IndyCar and stuff like that. Like if you wanted to, like that could be eventually like, added on like later on, like into career mode. Like it means that like the normal career mode would be like 10 seasons on like what it currently is. The managerial one could be as long as 20 years or like 20 seasons if you wanted to run that. So like over time you eventually start having like drivers from other categories start coming in, and it's like you have like I said Joseph Newgarden go from IndyCar. He's like, I don't want to race in IndyCar more, I want to go to F1, see what I can do over there. Then he will try and find a drive, as obviously as he won't be as experienced at racing around the tracks. If you got a good car at that point, you could then hire Newgarden, and you could pretty much teach him the ropes and stuff like that, and then you could actually end up having a really good driver. This is just another good idea in my opinion, which could hopefully increase the career mode standpoints to improve the longevity of the game. My fifth point is going to be track editor. Like what the Monster Energy Supercross games does, and much like what Rockstar does, then you can make your own tracks, and you can have your own track editor, you can choose certain like areas and stuff like that. But unlike that, you could also make replicas of circuits as well. So like if you wanted to, you can make a replica of the Nordschleife and stuff like that, and like the Nürburgring circuit. Like as long as you could type in the name of a track, then it will find where that track is in real life. It would then scan the train and maybe even scan the track. Like it'll do like its own like online like scan thing. It'll have like certain preset scans already done. So once you type in the Nürburgring, it will then load it up and plonk it in. And then if you want to go for like a slightly older version, like you could go like Nürburgring 2000, which means it's probably had like the slow complex there. You could then modernize it to make it suit modern day standards and stuff like that. It'd just be good fun. Which then could also probably improve the longevity of the game yet again, and then it will also go on to like, this like website thing where you have to sign up, like a social club type of thing, like what Rockstar does. Which then means that people can go online. Well, the way they want to do it, the way that Motocross does it, like the Supercross games do it, where they have it like just like uploaded. Then you go onto each console, like like if you've got PS4, Xbox or PC, goes onto that. Then you press download, it downloads that track onto your game, and then you can use it. It's just, and also means that AI can run it as well. Something you have to validate it, and it shows the ideal racing line, and also can show where overtakes are, and also you can pick where the DRS zones could be as well. Just some things can really, in my opinion, help out the game, and it can just improve the game and make it so much better. It is a really good gaming franchise. I absolutely love it. The only trouble is that once you get to a certain point in career mode and stuff like that, it just gets boring. And I know it's kind of late for me to be saying this, because I know obviously the co-masters, I very much doubt we'll ever see this. If they do, I'll be absolutely amazed, but it just will be nice for them to either do it in this year's game or next year's game. It will be brilliant. And if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And this is the Bronze Archer TVA signing out. Peace.